Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on this Monday morning. I am Marshette Turner, Director of the Houston Minority Business Development Agency, and I'm excited about what my MBDA Amplified team is doing. This 10-week Small Business Academy is twofold. First, we want to provide you as small or startup businesses with one-on-one business training and coaching that you need to further grow and develop your business. And second, we want to help you get to the place where you're obtaining government contracts, which have proven to be very lucrative to firms who were once exactly where you are. This morning's webinar will focus on sourcing, which is when suppliers are vetted to see if they can provide the needs of an organization on a regular basis. Just so you're aware, this webinar will be recorded and you can view it on our YouTube channel within 24 hours. After my team presents today, we'll open it up for Q&A, at which time you can ask all the questions you may have. With that, I'd like to acknowledge my team on today's call, and they are Ms. Jessica Vasquez, our program coordinator, Ms. Tanya McGilbra, our business advisor, Ms. Joni Hall, our business trainer, and Mr. Austin Tenette, our business trainer. Of course, you will be hearing from Ms. Hall and Mr. Tenette right now, so let me turn it over to them. Ms. Joni, take it away, ma'am.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Director Turner. You always give us that energy that we need to get moving. Everybody should be shaking loose, had coffee and everything. We like to be swift but lean with the information that we provide, because we know that we have taken 60 minutes of your life to make an impact. So let's jump right into it. Talking about sourcing opportunities. Director Turner did go ahead and tell you some of the key things. It is the process of vetting, selecting, and managing suppliers who can provide input in an organization needs for day-to-day running. So sourcing is tasked with carrying out research, creating and executing strategy, defining quality and quantity metrics, and choosing suppliers that meet these criteria. Next slide, please. So what we've done today, we've broken this up into 3 segments for you. Local sourcing opportunities, because we are in the glorious city of Houston. You might not know some of the things that are in your front or backyards of opportunities that are out there for you. We've broken up into state sourcing opportunities as well as federal. So I'm going to jump right in with the next slide, please, on local sourcing opportunities. The city of Houston, along with other public agencies, solicits bids from businesses for various goods and services. If you are interested in learning more about information about a particular bid or proposal, please make sure that you direct those questions to that agency that are requesting the goods or services. When reading solicitations, be sure that you look for a couple of things: pre-bid and pre-proposal conferences, because these things will help you and provide specific information about the project, as well as excellent networking opportunities with prime contractors and suppliers. Next slide, please. All right. So talking about some of the other sourcing opportunities that are available with the City of Houston, we have the City of Houston Strategic Purchasing Bid Search. The City of Houston Strategic Purchasing Division can accept bids from registered suppliers who have completed the online supplier registration form, submitted a signed RIS W-9, and received a valid supplier number. The Houston Airport System's current contracting opportunities. The success of Houston airports depend upon doing business with thousands of qualified contractors, suppliers, and vendors. Depending on the type of business opportunity that you and your business are seeking, the information can be found on the airport's website or the City of Houston's procurement site under the following categories. You're going to look for goods and services, and that will be on the City of Houston website. Design and construction and professional services will be on the Houston Airport System website. Then you have the City of Houston General Services Department of Advertisement. When you land on this page, you can see that it's going to point you in the direction of how to do business with the City of Houston. This gives you information on how to successfully work with the City of Houston and list supplier requirements. You are going to have the City of Houston Public Works and Engineering bid sets. The City of Houston Public Works has introduced a new system that they rolled out. It's a vendor portal for professional and construction vendors. Houston Public Works is continuously seeking professional and construction partners to help build and maintain Houston's infrastructure. Registration with the HPW can help expediting the contracting process and make it effective and efficient. I think you've heard me say registration here a couple of times. So the key thing that you are to know, most of the time when you're looking for these sources, they're going to require or recommend that you register with them because they need to know what goods that you're offering, so they can make sure that you're a good match for them and that you're a good match as well. And you feel that they're a good match for you. Excuse me. Next slide, please. Also, on a local level, you're going to have Metro bid solicitation. Metro is committed to the integrity of all facets of procurement process, ensuring fairness, accountability, and efficiency. In addition, the Office of Economic Business Opportunity, which is known as the OEBO, has several programs designed to further assist with procurement efforts. On their website, you'll be able to find business opportunity programs for small businesses, open and anticipated procurements, and vendor registration process. So again, key piece of the puzzle, you must register with these sites. The Port of Houston bid and proposal notices. The Port of Houston's goal is to engage businesses to promote awareness and help drive the global commerce through their gateway. Now, the port does invite you to share information about your goods and services via registration on their by-speed e-procurement system. Next slide, please. The Houston Independent School District proposal solicitations download. Companies and individuals who wish to sell their products or services to the district must first become an approved vendor through the Procurement Services Department. To do this, potential suppliers must obtain a registration number, which allows them to be considered when submitting requests for proposals, which is called a RFP, or competitive sealed bids. Then you have Houston Community College bids and requests for proposals. Those are available through the Office of Procurement Operations, which has the sole authority to negotiate for purchase of supplies, equipment, and services for Houston Community College. You have the Harris County Purchasing Agent, which works with agencies and suppliers to improve collaboration and sustainability while promoting innovation and value. Under the County Purchasing Agent, the Office of the Purchasing Agent is responsible for all county contracts for goods, services, and construction. Next slide, please. We have the Houston Housing Authority, which is known as the HHA, which encourages the use of minority and women-owned business enterprises when procuring goods and services. All interested parties are required to email the HHA along with required downloaded solicitation number. The email should include the name of the company along with the appropriate contact information. Now, this is not limited to, but these are some of the resources. A lot of these can be found on the City of Houston website or just simply Googling the agency that you're looking for. It is a gateway for sourcing opportunities. I'm going to ask Mr. Austin to jump in and add any additional nuggets about local sourcing opportunities for us.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Appreciate that. Yeah, I would say that if you're looking at kind of purely, if you want to start with local activity, I would go to that the Houston City of Houston site, because on there, in addition to sort of helping you navigate city opportunities through the Office of Business Opportunity, they also have links to the airport system, the Port of Houston, and a couple of other entities in the Harris County Health System. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. So you can start there and then sort of venture out into some of the other areas. And then what's also informative about going out to that City of Houston site is that you can look at what certifications that the city accepts. And then there's this concept of reciprocity. So if you may be certified with the city, you may receive automatic certification with the Port of Houston, the airport system, and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of information out there. And so at this juncture of your journey, I'm going to highly recommend that you become a student again, and really dive deeply into what it takes to become certified with those entities. And so I want to make one distinction. Joni had talked about registering. So registering to become a vendor is different from your certification. All vendors, with almost every entity, has to be registered, and then the certification process is sort of secondary, or that puts you or moves you closer to the top of the heap. So so for those of you who are on the journey, I would encourage you all to identify what agencies or entities you'd like to work with, and then register as a vendor immediately, and then we'll catch up with you on your certification activities. Okay, Joni, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Austin. So next slide, please. What we're going to look at is state sourcing opportunities. The next slide, please. So the Comptroller's statewide procurement division connects vendors with state purchasers and contract opportunities, and helps state and local government entities like non-IT goods and services through easily accessible contracts and meets their needs. So Austin, can you tell us a little bit more about state opportunities?
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity particularly if we're first starting to dip our toes in the waters of government contracting, because in this, first of all, the state makes it really, really easy through the office of the comptroller. They have a portal out there. It's called the CMBL. There's a portal on the comptroller site, and it gives you insight into all of the bid opportunities out there. I mean, we're very fortunate to be in Houston, but I think we're as fortunate to be in the state of Texas, because there's just billions and billions of dollars of spend that's out there, and then the state has some very specific goals about how they want to incorporate underutilized businesses, whether they be businesses that are owned by people of color, females, veterans, that sort of thing. So it's a great starting point. And again, as you begin your journey, I would strongly encourage you to go out to the comptrollers of the state of Texas, register on that site, and then continue down the path of certification. Because sometimes we'll see, particularly with the smaller procurements, sometimes certifications is not required. It always helps. But if you say, hey, I want to get started, there might be some small procurements that you can avail yourself to without having completed the entire certification process. And if you think about a state like Texas, there's probably a couple hundred different agencies across the state that are bidding out work. So it creates just a great opportunity for state-based companies to tap that government contracting pool. Back to you, Joni.
All right. Thank you so much, Austin, for that. So the next category that we have is going to be your U.S. federal government sourcing opportunities. Next slide, please. All right. So when you go out there and look at federal, there are quite a few, but two of the main ones that have quite a few arms to different resources and sourcing opportunities is going to be the Office of Government Contracting, SBA. So the Office of Government Contracting works to create an environment for maximum practicable participation by small, disadvantaged, service-disabled, veteran-owned businesses and woman small-owned businesses in the federal government contract awards and large prime subcontract awards. Then the second one that's out there that is a big resource is going to be the SAM.gov. Anyone who's interested in doing business with the government can use this system to search opportunities. Now, these opportunities include like your pre-solicitation notices, solicitation notices, award notices, and sole source notices. So here you'll see again, and more people I do understand are familiar more with federal than sometimes local. But again, you can see your advantages of being able to work and look with two different largely based organizations that have sources and arms. Austin, your perspective on federal government sourcing opportunities?
Yeah, so if for those of us who've been through this workshop series, you'll remember a few weeks ago we talked about sort of the government contracting hierarchy, with the federal government being sort of the top of the hierarchy, because the bids tend to be a little bit larger, and of course they span the United States. So for those of us on the call today, I would be, I heard one person say, use the some of the government opportunities. We may want to use those as what we aspire to achieve. Meaning, we may not, as we get started in this government contracting journey, we might want to start at some of the more local with some of the more local opportunities, and then as we sort of really get our mojo going or get our act together, then we can aspire to take on some federal opportunities. And the reason being there is you don't want to practice with the federal, because we don't, if you make a mistake, or maybe you get tripped up for whatever reason, you don't want that to be something that's on your record. So, do a little practice with maybe some of these smaller, more local opportunities. And then as you build momentum, then you can aspire to the federal opportunities. And again, as Joni was saying, SAM.gov is similar to the Texas Comptrollers. It has it's a portal. It lists all of the various opportunities that are available to bid on through your government contracting opportunities. Back to you, Joni.
Okay. All right. Next slide, please. So we have covered three, and of course we know that we've left you some great time to ask some questions, because this can be a lot of questions can generate from the information that we've provided today. But of course, top of the whole thing, you got to make sure that there's a few key things that you remember when you're on this sourcing opportunity journey. You want to make sure that you register your small business for government contracting services. You want to make sure you apply for your federal and state tax ID numbers. You want to make sure that you've requested your DUNS number, and you want to make sure you know your North American Industry Classification codes, which we covered last week when we did the capability, 2 weeks ago, the capability statement, because this identifies the goods that you are offering. And to fill out your SBA profile. Again, these will help while you're trying to procure government contracting, local contracting, or state, because again, they want to make sure you're a good fit for them, and you want to make sure that you are a good fit for them, because you will be able to make sure you have all of this information. So what we'll do this time is go ahead in the chat. We'll open it up for questions. Mr. Tenette and myself can answer those. You can just roll to the next slide, please.
Hey, Joni, let me just add, I know you did a great job of covering some of the major government contracting opportunities, but there's a couple more, maybe more local ones that we could maybe spend a little bit of time on. And, and those are the ones that come out of the school districts. And the school districts, sometimes, they are just like some of these other government entities. They're huge users of goods and services. So there are opportunities there. I know Houston Independent School District and even Fort Bend ISD, they have lots of opportunities, and they do really good jobs of getting the word out. If you, to your point, if you register with that entity. And then the thing that we don't also want to forget about is opportunities with industry. So even though technically it's not government contracting, but oftentimes certain industry players will create opportunities for underutilized businesses, whether it's based on gender, ethnicity, or veteran service. That'll create some preference for folks like those of us on the call here today to pursue some other opportunities. Thanks, Joni.
Tanya, are there any questions in the chat?
Yes, what would be the best URL for opportunities within Texas? Is it Texas Smart Buy?
I think probably thanks to Tanya for that. I think the best place to start is with the comptroller for it's comptroller.texas.gov, and there's their portal there. It's called CMBL, and that has all the opportunities that are listed for the state of Texas. So that might be since that's the portal that the state controls, might be a better starting point. I'm not familiar with the URL that was put into the chat room, but I'll do some homework on that. I'm a believer in going to the source.
Okay, here is another question. Ooh, wait a minute, I get lost. Good morning. Thank you for these great insights. Do either of you meet with small business owners to chat one-on-one?
Absolutely. Yes, we do. At the end, I was going to provide office hours, but since the opportunity has prevailed itself, let's do it. We do have office hours every other Monday, starting at 10 o'clock a.m. And we have them on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, starting at noon. So basically, what we'll do, if you go ahead and send us an email, and I do believe that it was put in the chat, and it is right here on this screen, you can send both of us the email, and we will get you scheduled. I will be looking at that today to schedule appointments for Wednesday. And then if you're looking for the following Monday when we have business hours, please denote that so we can get you scheduled then. And basically, what we ask that you come prepared, because our first meeting, we want to make sure that we're providing you the information with what you need, and that you can give us the things that we need to help you be successful. So after you send your email, if there's anything particular that we're requesting, we'll request that, so you can email it or bring it to the meeting with us, which is a virtual meeting via Teams.
Here's another question. Thanks for the presentation. Do you have data as to who received contracts broken down per industry, example, construction, architecture, and other services?
So that information does exist, but it exists at the entity level. So for federal, state, they'll compile those statistics or that information, and then they'll make it available. And so that's where it takes sort of the investigative skills of the folks on the phone here. You've got to go into those different agencies and look at what has transpired. In some cases, you may have to contact somebody in procurement or a contracting officer to request that information. But that's the beauty, that since this is all governmental work, they will typically make the information available to you to assist you with how you go about preparing your bid, what a winning bid looks like, those kinds of things. So I think it's far more advantageous contracting with the government, because there's that level of transparency that we don't see in sort of our traditional sort of just for-profit contracting activities. So I hope that answers the question.
Austin, there is a link. There is a link that will get you to the contracts, the awarded contracts rather, through the city of Houston. You do have to work your way through it, but I can put the link in the chat here, and it will get them one step closer to what they're looking for at a local level.
That would be great. That would be great.
And let me see if there's another question rather. Additionally, on the topic of school districts, how do you register with them?
So probably the easiest way is to go out to the individual school district, and then type in. And when you're doing your search, you type in procurement or purchasing, and typically that'll take you to the page. So before I jumped on the call here, I was out on the City of Houston's website, and as I mentioned earlier, the city of Houston, the Office of Business Opportunity, they do a great service. In fact, they have the URL to several of the agencies that they partner or align with. So you can go to the City of Houston, their procurement page, and you can get the link to the HISD page as it relates to procurement. And so just kind of a general thing, and maybe we can get Director Turner to opine on this as well. But if you look at the school districts and then even some of the city, a lot of the, a ton of the bids that they have out there is around something related to construction. And in fact, MBDA Houston has really made a name for itself nationally in terms of the work that the local agency has done with putting people in the construction space together with people who have contracting or construction needs. Director Turner, anything you'd like to add to that? Because I know that's how we really distinguish ourselves here in Houston.
Absolutely. So the Houston MBDA, of course, has a focus on the construction industry, but in terms of a list of government contracts, if you say you want to do business with Harris County, when you go to the Harris County website, there is a list of everything that they're offering. And then they put bids out, I think, on a weekly basis as well. So it just depends on the agency of which you're trying to do business with. And so be it federal government, local government, city government, county government, whoever it is you're trying to do business with, start first with their actual website, because that will give you the most accurate and up-to-date information relative to the government contracts that they have available at that time. But yes, thank you so much, Austin. The Houston MBDA is a beast in terms of getting contracts for our clients, and we do a yeoman's job at it, if I must say so myself.
Yes, so those are two technical terms: yeoman's job and beast. I love those technical terms in kind of
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and so to follow on there, so there's something that we've talked about throughout our time today, but we haven't said it specifically yet. But that is, there are thousands and thousands and billions of dollars of opportunities here when you look at from industry to federal, when you look at the hierarchy. So the challenge is, you as a business owner and aspiring entrepreneur, is you've got to figure out where do you want to play. And maybe you pick 2 or 3 agencies at a local level, and then earn your stripes and then move maybe to another area. But probably the biggest challenge people have is figuring out where to start. And so we can make some suggestions, but ultimately it's got to be you. So you got to figure out what it is that you do, what agency might need your good or service. And then, even with the state, even though it's smaller than the federal, but there's still, hundreds of state agencies that could potentially use your service. And then when we talk about, in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about how we go about nurturing some of the contacts that we're making, because that's going to be very mission critical too. It's not like you just send people an email and then contracts show up on your doorstep. You got to do a little bit of elbow grease and shoe leather to stay on people's radar and move up move up people's on their attention span. But the summarize, the thing that you should be working on right now is thinking about where do you want to play in this kind of this very complex space of government contracting.
Are there any more questions out there for us?
Are government contracts public records?
Yes, they are. That's the beauty of government contracting. So most entities, after they would have run a procurement process and they've concluded it and have selected a vendor of choice, the entity will publish who the winner was, and then maybe not exactly who the winner was, but they'll discuss what the winning attributes were in terms of price, performance, those kinds of things. And so for the astute bidders on government contracts, this is where your homework will really come in to help you. So you're able to go back in time and say, hey, was this what I'm getting ready to bid on? Was it bid on? Was there an RFP, request for proposal, in the past? Then you can go back and see the history. So I was looking at some proposals earlier this morning, and I went back and had seen that the proposal documents, the RFPs, are pretty detailed in terms of what they're looking for, and so it really creates a good guideline for you to create your response as you look at the scope of work and try to align what your business does to that particular scope of work. You may also use that RFP as a guide to make some determination if your firm is suited to take on that sort of an opportunity at this time in your development as a company. But the quick answer is yes. The results of prior bids are available.
And Austin and Joni, I did place those links in the chat. I hope everyone received them. One of them, if you're wanting to get started and register as a vendor, here is the URL to HCC's procurement. If you're wanting to inquire about some of the contracts that are through the city of Houston, you have to be very specific when it comes to construction, but that will get you started through the Houston Office of Business Opportunity website below.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
There's one more question, guys. Do you provide support on how to write a winning bid for an RFP?
I think the key word there is support. So we're not set up right now to help you actually write it, but we can help you with creating the framework or creating some discussion points based on what the contracting entity is looking for. I know sometimes some of the language can be a little bit challenging to interpret, but we can definitely be a resource to help you to challenge that, and then help you evolve your thinking about how best to respond. Kind of give you an outline or framework, but the ultimate writing of the RFP will come down to you, or if that's if your bandwidth is constrained, then there's a number of independent organizations out there that'll assist in that process as well. Of course, for a fee.
Okay. All right. Is that all the questions that we have out there for this
I
morning?
don't see any other questions, guys.
Okay.
Well, before we wrap up, I have a question for our audience, and Joni, you know where I'm going. So Ms. Hall has provided some great information today, and so I know we're all on a journey, and the best way to derive value from what we've talked about is taking some sort of immediate action, down the next step of the journey. So before we wrap up and say goodbye, for each of the attendees, could you just drop into the chat room, one activity or action that you plan to take in the next 48 hours towards moving yourselves down your respective journey towards government contracting and certification? Let me respond to that one question. How do we register for CMBL? So if you go to the Texas Comptroller site, you'll see a reference to CMBL, and then you're able to register right there on the site. Okay, Armand, I see that you're going to register with sam.gov. Excellent. It's registered with Lamar ISD. Very good, Alicia. That's great. Okay, Esther, I appreciate that you're going to register. I would just make sure that don't overwhelm yourself. Pick 2 or 3, and then to get your arms around the process, and before you start going out with more than that, because it's easy to get overwhelmed at this stage of the game. Okay, good. I see another CMBL registrant there. Love it. Thanks. Who was that? That was Tamara. Okay, and then let's see, Harold. We'll finish SAM.gov application, apply to the SBA 8 program. Okay, great. Now remember, I'm sure you've done your homework on that, Harold, but SBA Pro 8A program, typically looking at slightly larger organizations who've had some years of success in business. So I'm not sure where you are with your business, but if you're a startup, it's probably not going to be it's not going to be a good starting point. Could be a good ending point for you, but not a great starting point. But I'll let you make that call. So Walter's working on 8A certification. Great. And there you go. T. Simon, register for one each week. That would be great. Get certified. Okay, so that was Ty, I guess. My vision is failing me, but get certified. So that's great. But I would be more specific with that goal. Certified with what certification and what agencies do you plan to support? Thanks, Tanya, for putting the comptroller's URL in there. Harold, thanks for that clarification. 12 years in business. Congratulations. You got it all figured out.
Yes.
Capability statement, completed registration.
In Austin, with those ISDs, there's so many of them, and you could literally take about 3 to 4 and register for them a week and still have more to register with. Even it's K through 12, higher education, you can register with all of those entities. But
Yes.
There's so many of them.
Right. And so we're fortunate here in Houston. You have 2 of the largest community college systems in the country between Lone Star and HCC. And I know HCC is a very active, as we all know, procurement initiative focused on small businesses, underutilized business, and for people of color. So that's great. I like the ISD because what is there, probably a couple hundred ISDs in the state of Texas?
Lots of them.
Yes. Okay, so on behalf of Director Turner, we wanted to thank everyone for attending the webinar. So now we're going to conclude the webinar. Before we said that, I want please everyone to register for the next webinar that we have on May 1st. It's going to be identifying and nurturing buyers and key decision makers. So please register for that event. So thank you so much for attending. Do you have any final remarks, everyone? Mr. Tenette, Ms. Joni?
No, we just want to tell everybody thank you. Remember about our office hours, that to go ahead and email us now so we can get you scheduled. It's of essence. We don't want you to back out or we'll find you. But just do remember that the resources that we do provide are outlined here. The Academy, 1, technical business assistance, business matchmaking, networking, and business introductions. So again, we look forward to meeting with you one-on-one. We will see some of you on Wednesday, I'm sure. And again, thank you for your assistance, Mr. Tenette, and the rest of the team this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you to those who took time from their schedules to participate. And I'll close with a coaching comment. It's great that you're attended here, but the power in all of this is applying the knowledge that we've shared or discussed today and getting something done in the next 48 hours. So I wish you guys well, and I look forward to speaking with some of you this Wednesday and next Monday. Thanks.